Every day, your mind tries to control you. It feeds you fear. It distracts you with comfort. It whispers excuses until you start believing them. But here's the truth. Either you control your mind, or your mind will quietly destroy your potential. This audiobook is not about motivation, it's about mastery. It's about reclaiming the steering wheel of your thoughts before they crash your life. Starting today, you take command. Starting today, your emotions, your focus, your inner dialogue, all of it belongs to you again. Chapter: Stop letting thoughts think for you. Your mind is not you. Your thoughts are not truth. They are impulses, random, reactive, automatic. Most people never realize this. They live their entire lives inside a stream of thoughts they never chose, never questioned, and never stopped. They believe every voice that enters their head. They obey every emotion that surfaces. And because of that, they suffer. Listen carefully. Your mind is a machine. If you don't control it, it controls you. If you don't program it, it runs on default. And default mode is fear. Default mode is comfort. Default mode is weakness disguised as logic. You felt this. You've had moments where you wanted to act, to start, to speak, to move, and your mind whispered, "Not yet." You had days where your body was ready, your goal was clear, but your thoughts said, "It's too hard. It won't work." And you believed it. That's how the mind wins. Not through violence, but through persuasion. It doesn't attack you, it convinces you. It convinces you that doubt is intelligence. That hesitation is strategy. That fear is truth. And the moment you agree, you lose control. Here is the truth: you are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts get to stay. That's the key. You have a choice. Every single time a thought enters your mind, you have the power to say yes or no. You can observe it without obeying it. You can listen without surrendering. This is what mental control looks like: not silence, but authority. You can stop thoughts from coming, but you can stop letting them think for you. That's mastery. That's discipline. Let's get practical. When a thought says, "You're not ready," you say to decide that. When a thought says, "They might judge you," you say, "I'm not here for their approval." When a thought says, "It's safer to wait," you say, "Safety is not success." Every time you respond with awareness, you weaken the mind's grip. Every time you act in spite of the thought, you reprogram the machine. That's how control is built, not overnight, but repetition by repetition. Let me make this clear. Your thoughts are not instructions. They're options. Most people treat them like laws. They don't question the fear. They don't test the doubt. They don't challenge the voice that says, "You can't." But you must. Because that voice isn't truth. It's habit. And habits can be broken. When you understand that, something powerful happens. You stop reacting to thoughts. You start selecting them. That's when your mind becomes a tool, not a trap. Look around you. The most disciplined, successful, and composed people on the planet, they all have this in common. They've trained their minds to serve their mission. They don't follow every thought, they follow principles. They don't react, they respond. They don't let their emotions dictate direction. You can do the same. But it starts with a choice, a commitment to awareness. Here's your assignment. For the next hours, watch your mind. Listen to every thought that enters your head. Don't fight it. Don't suppress it. Just observe it. And every time you hear a thought that sounds fearful, lazy, or doubtful, say to yourself, "That's not me. That's programming." This one exercise will change your life. Because the moment you separate you from your thoughts, the game changes. Now you're in control. Now you have leverage. Now you can program your machine intentionally. That's the goal: intentional thinking. Not random. Not reactive. Intentional. When you wake up, decide what to think. When you face fear, decide what to believe. When you feel anger, decide what to do with it. Every decision reinforces control. Remember this phrase: I think, therefore I decide. Not just I think, therefore I am. Thinking without awareness is chaos. Thinking with awareness is control. Most people live as prisoners of their own thoughts. They wake up anxious because their mind starts running scripts they didn't write. They go to bed restless because their mind won't stop spinning stories that aren't real. They lose entire years trapped in invisible mental loops. But not you. Not anymore. Because now you see the pattern. Now you understand the enemy is life. It's the undisciplined mind. The enemy isn't failure. It's the voice that says you can't rise again. The enemy isn't people. It's your reaction to them. That's why this book exists. To teach you how to reclaim command. To make you the commander, not the passenger. And that begins with this first law. Stop letting thoughts think for you. You have a choice. Say it to yourself right now. I have a choice. You can decide which thoughts deserve energy. You can decide which voices deserve silence. You can decide what version of yourself you feed. Because your life becomes what you think about most. And what you think about most is what you allow to stay. So choose thoughts that serve your growth. Choose thoughts that serve your goals. Choose thoughts that build, not break. That's control. That's mastery. That's freedom. And here's the paradox. The more you control your mind, the less your mind controls you. And when that happens, peace arrives. Not the peace of comfort, but the peace of command. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts get to stay. Repeat that every day until it becomes your default truth. Because that is where transformation begins, at the point of awareness. You've taken the first step. You separated yourself from the storm inside your head. Now you're ready for the next level of control. You've seen how awareness gives you power. Now let's talk about how to use that awareness to command your emotions before they command you. Chapter: Awareness is Control. Awareness changes everything. It's the moment you stop being the thought and start watching it. It's the instant you realize, I'm not this emotion, I'm the one observing it. That's the turning point, the shift from chaos to control. Because what you can see, you can control. What you ignore controls you. Most people never reach this level of awareness. They live their lives on autopilot, reacting, not responding. They don't choose their thoughts, they chase them. They don't control their emotions, they drown in them. Every outburst, every breakdown, every spiral, it all comes from a lack of awareness. When you're not aware, you are the emotion. You are the anger. You are the anxiety. You are the fear. But when awareness arrives, you separate. You see the emotion as something happening in you, not defining you. That's the key. You can't master your mind until you can see your mind. You can't control what you refuse to notice. Awareness is the mirror. And most people are afraid to look in it. Let's get real. When you feel stress building, what do you do? Do you pause and name it, or do you feed it? When someone triggers you, do you step back or do you react? When your mind starts spinning stories, do you question them or do you obey them? That's the test of awareness. And most fail it, not because they're weak, but because they've never trained it. Awareness is natural, it's built through discipline. It takes patience to watch your own mind without judgment. It takes humility to say, I'm feeling anger, but I'm not anger itself. But once you learn this, everything changes. Because awareness gives you choice. And choice is control. Let's break it down. The emotional loop. Every emotion follows a loop. Trigger, thought, reaction, reinforcement. Something happens. You think. You react. The reaction feeds the thought. Round and round until you're trapped. Stress feeds on stress. Anger feeds on anger. Fear feeds on fear. But awareness breaks the loop. The moment you see the emotion, it loses power. You interrupt the pattern. You slow it down. You gain space between stimulus and response. That space, the breath, is where mastery lies. That's where you decide who you want to be, not just what you feel. That's where power is built. You have a choice. In every situation, you can react like everyone else, or you can respond like someone in control. The difference is awareness. How to train awareness. Here's how you do it step by step. First, slow down. You can notice your thoughts when your mind is moving faster than your awareness. Pause before you speak. Pause before you reply. Pause before you act. That 1 second of silence is the difference between chaos and control. Second, name what you feel. Say it out loud or in your head. This is stress. This is anger. This is insecurity. Naming the emotion separates you from it. The moment you label it, you own it, it no longer owns you. Third, trace it back. Ask, where did this come from? Was it a trigger? A thought? A memory? A fear? The source doesn't matter as much as the awareness of it. Because once you know why it's there, it stops being random. That's control. That's how you stop being a puppet to your own mind. You have a choice. You always have a choice. Real world awareness. Think of a soldier in combat. Under fire, heart racing, adrenaline flooding the body, and yet, the best soldiers don't panic. They observe. They assess. They act with precision. That's awareness under pressure. That's control when chaos is at its loudest. Now think of your own life. Your battlefield might be an argument, a deadline, a temptation, a failure. The principle is the same. If you can see your reaction before you become it, you win. That's how top performers, athletes, and leaders stay calm under pressure. They don't suppress emotions. They witness them. They see anger rise and break through it. They feel fear creep in and focus anyway. They notice doubt and move regardless. Awareness does make emotions disappear. It makes you immune to their control. Remember this, you can't control the storm, but you can control your stance within it. Awareness is the stance. The hidden cost of unawareness. Every time you react without awareness, you lose energy. You lose power. You lose time. You say things you regret. You make decisions you didn't mean. You give your peace away. And afterward, you say, I don't know what came over me. Here's the truth, your mind did. Because you weren't watching it. And awareness costs more than mistakes. It costs identity. It makes you forget who's in charge. And when you forget, the mind takes over again on default mode. Default mode is fear. Default mode is ego. Default mode is chaos. Awareness is your exit from default. It's how you take the wheel back. That's the key. The discipline of observation. Make this your daily practice. Before you react, observe. Before you decide, pause. Before you judge, breathe. That's not weakness, it's power. Stillness is not inaction, it's precision. Awareness gives you the ability to act intentionally instead of impulsively. When someone provokes you, awareness says they want a reaction. I'll give them none. When fear rises, awareness says, I see it, but I'll keep moving. When doubt appears, awareness says, I hear you, but I'm not stopping. You don't need their permission. You don't need approval. You don't need the storm to pass before you stand still. What you can see, you can control. What you ignore controls you. Bringing it all together. Awareness is your anchor. It keeps you grounded when your emotions pull. It keeps you calm when your thoughts race. It keeps you focused when distractions surround you. This is mental toughness, not the absence of emotion, but control over it. And that control begins with awareness. That's the foundation of everything in this audiobook. You can't build discipline without awareness. You can't manage emotion without awareness. You can't command your mind without awareness. You have a choice. Stay asleep in reaction, or wake up to control. Choose awareness. Choose command. Choose to see everything clearly. Because awareness is control. And control is freedom. You've learned how to see your thoughts before they steer you. You've learned to catch emotion before it takes over. Now it's time to go deeper. Because awareness gives you sight, but emotion gives you energy. The next step is to channel that energy instead of being consumed by it. Chapter: Emotion is energy, not identity. Emotions are not enemies. They are energy. They are signals. They are messages from the mind and body, but they are not commands. You have to understand that. Because the moment you confuse emotion with identity, you lose control. You start saying things like I am angry. I am anxious. I am afraid. You are not angry, you are feeling anger. You are not anxious, you are experiencing anxiety. You are not afraid, you are facing fear. That's the difference between being consumed and being in control. Feel it, name it, and move through it. That's the process. That's the key. Emotion is energy. Every emotion carries energy. Anger has heat. Fear has speed. Excitement has electricity. Sadness has weight. Emotion is neutral until you attach meaning to it. That's what most people never realize. Emotion by itself is not good or bad. It's simply energy in motion. But what you do with that energy determines your direction. You have a choice. You can channel that energy into creation or destruction. You can use anger to fuel discipline, or to justify chaos. You can use fear to prepare or to hide. You can use pain to grow or to quit. It's not about the emotion itself. It's about your relationship with it. It's not about anger, it's about awareness. It's not about fear, it's about focus. It's not about sadness, it's about strength. You have a choice. Always. The misuse of emotion. Most people let emotion become their master. They act from emotion instead of through it. They let a moment of anger destroy relationships. They let a wave of fear stop progress. They let insecurity silence their voice. And then they blame the emotion. I couldn't help it. Yes, you could. You always could. You just didn't stop to see it for what it was: energy, not identity. When you act from emotion, you lose clarity. When you act through emotion, you gain power. That's the difference between reaction and command. That's the difference between chaos and control. Think of emotion as fire. Uncontrolled, it burns. Directed, it builds. A fire can destroy your home, or it can forge steel. It's not about the fire, it's about how you use it. That's the key. Real world command. Look at elite soldiers under fire. They feel fear, every one of them. They feel adrenaline, anxiety, intensity, but they act through it, not from it. They don't let fear freeze them, they let it sharpen them. They take the energy and focus it. Look at high-level athletes. Before every major performance, their hearts race. Their minds swirl. They feel everything you feel: fear, pressure, doubt. But they've trained to move through it. They have learned to use emotion as fuel, not as fog. That's mental toughness. That's emotional control. That's discipline in motion. Leaders, performers, warriors, they all master this one truth. Emotion is a resource. It is not your ruler. You can use it, or you can be used by it. You can ride the wave, or you can drown in it. And the choice is yours. The process: feel it. Name it. Know through it. Here's how you gain command. Step 1: feel it. Don't run from emotion. Don't suppress it. Don't fake peace. You can't control what you refuse to feel. Sit with it. Let it rise. Feel it fully: the tension, the heat, the pulse. This is where awareness begins. Step 2: name it. Say it out loud or internally. This is anger. This is fear. This is disappointment. Naming emotion separates you from it. It turns chaos into clarity. Now you're not the emotion, you're the observer. Step 3. Move through it. Don't get stuck in it. Don't dwell. Don't replay it. Take the energy and redirect it. Turn anger into focus. Turn fear into preparation. Turn pain into discipline. That's mastery. That's emotional control. That's transformation. You don't need permission to feel. You don't need permission to move on. You don't need permission to take the energy and build something from it. Feel it. Name it. Go through it. That's the formula. The danger of emotional suppression. Let's be clear, emotional control is not emotional suppression. Suppression is weakness disguised as strength. It's not control, it's avoidance. And avoidance always comes back stronger. When you bury emotion, it does disappear, it mutates. It shows up later as stress, irritation, or burnout. You can conquer what you refuse to confront. So don't suppress. Observe. Don't numb. Transform. That's the mature way to handle emotion. That's how powerful people stay calm in storms, not because they don't feel, but because they do. And they move through it with precision. Reframing emotion. Here is the mindset shift you need. Emotion is feedback, not fate. It's data, not destiny. It's your system trying to tell you something. Fear might be saying, prepare more. Anger might be saying, something feels unjust. Sadness might be saying, you need to release. But none of these emotions are orders. They are signals asking for interpretation. You are the translator. That's your power. That's your responsibility. That's your control. From emotion to execution. When you master the skill, you move differently. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop being unpredictable. You become intentional. Your energy becomes cleaner. Your decisions become sharper. Your presence becomes stronger. People will wonder how you stay calm. They'll ask why nothing rattles you. And the truth is simple. You learn to separate the emotion from the action. You learn to channel energy instead of explode with it. That's emotional control. That's discipline. That's power. You have a choice. Every time emotion rises, you can submit to it or you can shape it. You can become the storm or you can steer through it. Feel it. Name it. Know through it. Say it again. Feel it. Name it. Know through it. That's not just a mantra. That's a mental operating system. And once it's installed, your life changes. You've learned that emotions are not the enemy, they're energy waiting for direction. You've learned that awareness gives you distance, and distance gives you power. Now it's time to channel the power into structure. Because emotion without discipline is chaos. But emotion with discipline becomes unstoppable momentum. You've mastered emotion. Now, let's talk about the foundation that turns energy into freedom. Chapter: Discipline is the real freedom. Everyone says they want freedom. They talk about wanting more time, more money, more options. But they never realize this true freedom without discipline is chaos. You think you want freedom from rules, but what you really want is freedom from regret. You think you want freedom from structure, but what you really want is freedom from confusion. And that kind of freedom only comes through discipline. The weak seek freedom from structure. The strong find freedom inside it. That's the difference. That's the key. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is control in motion. A lie about freedom. You've been told that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not freedom, that's enslavement to impulse. That's your mind on autopilot. That's a life built on reaction, not intention. The truth is simple. Freedom without control destroys people. Look at those who chase comfort, they do what they want, yet they're miserable. They have no boundaries, no structure, no direction, just chaos dressed up as toys. They eat what they want, and their health collapses. They spend what they want, and their peace disappears. They say whatever they want, and their relationships burn. Freedom without discipline becomes self-destruction, and discipline without freedom becomes slavery. But when you combine them, discipline creates freedom. You have a choice. You can live reactive and restless, or structured and strong. Structure is power. Discipline gives your mind a framework. Structure is not restriction, it's scaffolding. It holds your life in place while you build something worth standing on. When you live without discipline, your emotions run your schedule. When you live with discipline, your principles do. That's how you stay stable in chaos. Your days don't depend on motivation, they depend on structure. The most peaceful people on earth are the most disciplined. Their minds are organized. Their environments are intentional. Their actions are predictable not because they are boring, but because they are focused. Discipline removes decision fatigue. You don't waste energy wondering if you'll work out, if you'll meditate, if you'll commit. You already decided, and that's freedom. That's the secret no one tells you. When your choices are already made, your mind becomes quiet. You gain mental peace, not through doing less, but through doing what matters, consistently. A peace in predictability. Predictability sounds boring until you realize it's the foundation of calm. When your day has order, your emotions have space. When your habits are aligned, your energy stabilizes. Structure is not a prison. Structure is protection. It keeps the noise out so you can focus on what's real. Every morning routine, every disciplined habit, every consistent choice, they're not cages, they're shields. They protect you from distraction, procrastination, and doubt. That's the power of routine. It frees your mind from chaos. You don't wake up lost because you already know what to do. You don't need motivation because you have a mission. You don't need to chase momentum because you built it into your system. You have a choice every morning. Wed to the day or command it. And that command comes from discipline. Real world discipline. Look at elite performers, athletes, entrepreneurs, soldiers. Their lives are defined by repetition. They do the same hard things at the same time, every single day. They don't wait for inspiration. They act from discipline. A soldier doesn't feel like waking up at dawn. He does it because the mission demands it. An athlete doesn't feel like training through pain. She does it because discipline builds resilience. A leader doesn't feel like facing conflict. He does it because avoidance kills trust. They all understand one thing. Discipline is freedom. Because when you can make yourself do what needs to be done, no one can control you. Not your emotions. Not your fears. Not your environment. You don't need their permission. You don't need ideal conditions. You don't need external motivation. You just move because that's who you are. That's power. That's peace. That's control. Building discipline in daily life. Discipline starts small. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to prove to your mind that you're in charge. Start with your mornings. Wake up at the same time. Make your bed. Do something difficult before the world wakes up. That act simple, quiet, consistent builds momentum. Your mind learns, I follow through. And once that identity forms, everything changes. And move to your habits. Schedule your priorities. Protect your focus. Create rules that serve your mission. You have to parent your mind like a child. It will resist. It will complain. It will say later. Ignore it. That's the test. Discipline is not about feeling ready, it's about acting regardless. Every time you follow through, you rewrite your identity. Every time you do what you said you do, your confidence grows. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your discipline. That's the key. The emotional freedom of discipline. Here is what most people don't expect. Discipline does just create structure, it creates emotional freedom. When you live with discipline, you stop feeling guilty. You stop doubting yourself. You stop negotiating with weakness. Guilt fades because you're aligned with your values. Anxiety fades because your life has order. Distraction fades because your mind has direction. You don't need to fight emotion when you live by principle. Discipline regulates your feelings without suppressing them. It's not about being rigid, it's about being ready. You have a choice every day. Indulge your emotions, or follow your mission. One brings temporary relief. The other brings lasting freedom. That's the difference between living soft and living strong. Discipline is control in motion. Every act of discipline is a declaration. I control me. I decide what happens next. I don't wait for motivation, I move because it's required. That's controlled emotion. That's power embodied. That's real freedom. Freedom is not the absence of control, it's the mastery of it. Freedom is not the absence of rules, it's the ability to write your own. And that's what discipline gives you, the right to direct your own life with precision and peace. You've learned how discipline builds stability. You've learned how structure creates peace. You've learned that freedom is not found in escape, it's found in control. Now it's time to talk about the opposite of discipline, the silent destroyer of control. A comfort trap that keeps strong minds soft and focused minds weak. You mastered structure. Now let's expose the addiction that breaks it. Chapter: The Trap of Instant Relief. Modern life is built on a lie that comfort equals happiness. That ease equals success. That the goal is to feel good now. That lie is everywhere. It's in your phone. It's in your habits. It's in every shortcut that promises peace without effort. But here's the truth: comfort isn't progress. Comfort is the enemy of control. Because every time you choose comfort, you trade control. That's the key. The hidden cost of comfort. We live in a world addicted to instant relief. You scroll instead of reflect. You binge instead of build. You escape instead of endure. It feels harmless. It feels small. But every small choice shapes the mind. Every time you choose the path of least resistance, you strengthen the muscle of weakness. Discomfort is the weight that builds mental strength. Avoid it, and your mind decays. Seek it, and your mind hardens. You have a choice every day: to chase comfort, or to claim control. That's the decision that defines your discipline. Comfort is a silent killer. A trap of instant relief does destroy you overnight. It destroys you slowly, silently, one easy choice at a time. You tell yourself it's just one more scroll, one more episode, one more excuse. But what it really is one more surrender. Comfort feels like relief, but it's really submission. Submission to impulse. Submission to fear. Submission to the weakest part of you. Every time you reach for easy, you train your mind to avoid hard. And once the pattern sets in, strength becomes foreign. Effort feels unbearable. Discipline feels impossible. You become a slave to your impulses, smiling, entertained, and quietly losing control. That's the cost of comfort. It does just waste time. It erodes identity. You stop believing in yourself because deep down, you know you're lying to yourself. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. But the truth is, comfort is tomorrow's killer. Tomorrow never comes when comfort owns you. Why the mind craves relief. Your mind is your enemy. It's trying to protect you. It wants to keep you safe, avoid pain, conserve energy. That instinct was useful when survival meant running from predators. But now, that same instinct keeps you running from growth. You don't need safety. You need strength. You don't need relief. You need resilience. The mind looks for dopamine, a quick hit of satisfaction. That's why you keep reaching for your phone. That's why you check notifications every few minutes. That's why you start something meaningful, hit resistance, and quit. The pattern is simple. Trigger. Word. Relief. But it's fake peace. It's chemical calmness, not real control. That's the trap. Your brain learns that avoiding discomfort equals safety. But safety isn't growth. Safety is stagnation. If you want peace, you must earn it through discipline, not comfort. The power of choosing discomfort. You want to regain control. Then you must rewire the pattern. You must learn to delay relief and lean into discomfort. When you feel the urge to scroll, stop. When you feel the urge to quit early, push 10 seconds longer. When your mind says, I need a break, ask, from what? From becoming who I'm supposed to be. You have to train your brain like a muscle. It resists pressure until it adapts. And it grows stronger. That's how you take control back, one resisted impulse at a time. Every time you delay comfort, you build mental armor. Every time you say not yet, you harden the mind. Every time you reject easy, you strengthen identity. That's the formula. Discomfort, discipline, control, freedom. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about proving to yourself that you're in charge. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't even need to feel ready. You just need to stop chasing relief and start chasing mastery. That's the difference between the average and the elite. The average escapes emotion. The elite endures it. The high cost of relief culture. Our culture rewards comfort. Every ad, every app, every algorithm is designed to feed your need for instant ease. The world profits off your distraction. They want your focus fragmented. They want your attention divided. Because when your mind is weak, you buy relief. You pay for dopamine. You consume instead of create. You react instead of rule. You think you're choosing, but you're being controlled. Controlled by screens. Controlled by impulses. Controlled by comfort. That's the system you're trapped in. And the only way out is awareness followed by resistance. Every time you pause before reacting, you regain power. Every time you delay gratification, you reclaim freedom. Every time you reject instant relief, you rewire your identity. You become dangerous again. You become unshakable again. You become alive again. Reprogramming your mind. Here's your task. Get one comfort you rely on and cut it for 7 days. No justification. No negotiation. Just discipline. Notice how your mind reacts. A restlessness. A boredom. The agitation. That's withdrawal not from the comfort itself, but from your dependency on it. That's where growth lies, in the withdrawal from weakness. In the tension between what feels good and what makes you good. You have to teach your mind that discomfort is safe. That pressure is growth. That stillness is strength. The first day will be hard. The second day will be harder. But by day 3, you'll feel something powerful: control. And that control feels better than any relief ever could. That's the real reward. Discomfort as a compass. Here's the truth: discomfort points toward your next level. Whatever makes you uncomfortable is usually what's next for your evolution. That hard conversation. That early morning. That delayed reward. Discomfort is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to pay attention. Because the mind grows through friction, not escape. Stop avoiding what challenges you. Run toward it. Because what you run from rules you. That's the law of control. You have a choice. You can keep chasing quick fixes, or you can build lasting strength. You can keep escaping, or you can evolve. You can live for comfort, or you can live for control. Every time you choose comfort, you trade control. Every time you trade control, you lose yourself. And every time you lose yourself, the world wins. And when you choose discipline, you win it all back. That's the choice. That's the challenge. That's the transformation. You've learned how comfort steals control. You've learned that relief is the enemy of resilience. And you've learned that every moment of discomfort is a chance to reclaim power. You mastered the art of resisting ease. Now it's time to build a habit that keeps your emotions quiet and your mind unshakable. You've earned awareness. Now earn stillness. Chapter, the voice in your head is not the truth. There's a voice in your head that never stops talking. It doubts you. It questions you. It criticizes you. And if you're not careful, it controls you. That voice is not your truth. That voice is not your identity. That voice is fear wearing your face. You are not the voice. You are the listener. That's the key. The inner critic is not you. Everyone has an inner critic. That constant whisper that says, "You can't. You're not ready. What if you fail?" It sounds convincing because it uses your own tone. It sounds familiar because it's built from your past. But that voice is not wisdom, it's programming. It's the echo of fear, conditioning, and self-doubt. The mind repeats what it's been taught. If you've been told to stay safe, the voice repeats, "Don't risk it." If you've been punished for failure, the voice repeats, "Don't try." If you've been ignored, the voice repeats, "You don't matter." That voice isn't predicting your future, it's recycling your past. And if you don't question it, it becomes your identity. You have a choice. To believe the voice or to observe it. To obey it or to override it. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who decides which thoughts get to stay. The mental parasite. Think of the inner critic as a parasite. It feeds on attention. It grows through repetition. Every time you argue with it, justify yourself, or react to it, you feed it. The parasite says, "You'll never change." You react. You feel small. You spiral. And that's exactly what it wants, your energy. It's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. The more you notice the voice, the weaker it gets. Awareness is the cure. Because what you can see, you can control. What you ignore controls you. So start paying attention. Notice when it speaks. Notice what triggers it. Notice the pattern. You realize something powerful. The voice isn't constant, it's conditional. It shows up when you're stepping outside your comfort zone. That's proof that you're growing. The voice screams loudest right before a breakthrough. Don't run from it. Recognize it. That's the key. Real world example, the athlete's mind. Watch a professional athlete before competition. They don't silence their inner voice, they command it. The mind says, "You might fail." They respond, "Maybe," but then still stepping in. That's mental dominance. That's emotional control. The soldier feels fear, but still moves forward. The entrepreneur feels doubt, but still launches. The leader feels pressure, but still decides. They all hear the same voice. But they've trained themselves not to confuse the voice with the truth. The mind's job is to keep you alive. Your job is to keep moving forward. You don't silence fear. You out-discipline it. You don't need their permission. You don't even need comfort. You just need control. And control begins with awareness. How to separate from the voice. Here's the transformation process. 3 simple steps, practice daily. Step 1, name it. When the voice speaks, give it a name. Call it the critic. Call it the saboteur. Call it the echo. Anything that reminds you this is not me. Step 2, observe it. Instead of reacting, just listen. Say to yourself, "There's that thought again." Don't fight it. Don't debate it. Just witness it. You'll feel distance forming between you and the thought. That's control returning. Step 3, replace it. Once you've recognized the lie, replace it with the truth. The voice says, "You can't." You respond, "Watch me." The voice says, "You're not enough." You respond, "I'm improving daily." This isn't positive thinking, it's disciplined thinking. It's mental reprogramming. It's how you build a new identity from the inside out. Every time you catch and redirect a thought, you reclaim territory in your mind. You weaken the old voice and strengthen your new one, the voice of focus, power, and control. The power of non-reaction. You don't defeat the inner voice by arguing with it. You defeat it by starving it. Every reaction is energy. Every engagement is fuel. Stop feeding the parasite. When a negative thought appears, say this phrase to yourself. I see you, but you're not me. Then move forward. Don't engage. Don't explain. Don't overthink. Just act. Action quiets the mind faster than analysis ever will. That's why disciplined people are peaceful. They don't waste energy debating emotions. They hear the voice and move anyway. That's power. That's discipline. That's control. Repetition wires reality. Your mind doesn't respond to motivation, it responds to repetition. Whatever you repeat becomes your reality. You can repeat weakness or strength. You can repeat fear or faith. You can repeat excuses or execution. The voice in your head was built by repetition, and it can be rebuilt the same way. Every day, repeat truth until it drowns out fear. I am not my thoughts. I am the observer. I move regardless of emotion. You don't have to feel confident to act confident. You just have to keep showing your mind who's in charge. That's the real rewiring process, not hype, but habit. Not emotion, but repetition. Not feeling, but focus. That's the discipline that builds mental toughness. The freedom of separation. When you realize you're not your thoughts, everything changes. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing rejection. You stop believing every story your mind tells you. You gain the ultimate freedom, the freedom to choose your response. And that's real control. You no longer react to every emotion. You no longer drown in self-doubt. You no longer take orders from the old version of you. You've built space between the voice and the listener, and in that space lies peace. You are the listener, not the critic, not the fear, not the past. You are the awareness that observes it all and decides what to do next. That's mastery. That's mental control. That's who you really are. Closing transition. You've learned to recognize the inner voice. You've learned that it's not your truth, it's just a story. And you've learned how awareness reclaims control. Now it's time to take that awareness into the outer world, where noise, opinion, and distraction test your focus every second. You've mastered the voice inside your mind. Now, let's master the world outside of it. Chapter: Control what you feed your mind. Your mind is always eating. Every scroll, every song, every conversation, every headline is food. Mental food. And most people have no idea what they're feeding themselves. They wonder why they feel anxious, scattered, unmotivated. It's simple. Garbage in, gas out. Clarity in, control out. You have a choice. You can consume noise, or you can consume truth. You can feed distraction, or you can feed discipline. That's the key. The mind is a mirror of its diet. You are not your thoughts. You are what you feed your thoughts. If you feed your mind negativity, it will reflect fear. If you feed your mind chaos, it will reflect confusion. If you feed your mind focus, it will reflect power. Your mind does discriminate. It does ask, is this helping me? It just absorbs. So what are you giving it to absorb? Most people wake up and feed their mind poison before they even eat breakfast. News feeds full of outrage. Music glorifying numbness. Conversations dripping with complaint. And then they wonder why their life feels heavy. Why they can't focus. Why everything feels like noise. It's not a mystery. It's diet. And your diet determines your direction. You have a choice. Protect your inputs, or drown in them. The invisible diet. People understand physical diet, junk food makes your body weak. But they ignore the mental diet, junk input makes your mind weak. Every piece of content you consume leaves residue. Every word, every image, every tone it sticks. It shapes your beliefs. It trains your subconscious. You think you're just scrolling, just watching, just killing time. You're not. You're programming yourself. Garbage in, cast out. Clarity in, control out. You don't rise above your inputs, you reflect them. If you listen to people who blame, you'll start blaming. If you watch people who quit, you'll start quitting. If you surround yourself with noise, your mind becomes noise. That's not negativity, that's law. A power of selective input. You have to become ruthless about what you let in. Guard your attention like it's gold, because it is. When you control your inputs, you control your output. When you control your output, you control your results. It's not about willpower. It's about environment. You can't think clearly if your mental environment is chaos. You can't stay focused if your inputs are distractions. The strongest minds don't resist temptation, they remove it. They don't argue with noise, they mute it. That's discipline. That's control. You don't need their permission to tune out. You don't owe anyone your attention. Every scroll, every show, every conversation, it's a choice. And every choice builds or breaks your control. Real world example, the difference between two minds. Picture two people. The first wakes up and grabs their phone. They scroll through drama, comparison, outrage. They start their day reacting. By noon, they're exhausted mentally and emotionally. They fed on junk all morning, and now they're running on fumes. The second person wakes up and protects their focus. They feed their mind with clarity, silence, reflection, purpose. They choose their inputs. They start their day creating instead of reacting. Who do you think controls their mind? Who do you think controls their life? The answer is obvious. Garbage in, chaos out. Clarity in, control out. 3 rules for mental nutrition. You want a stronger mind. Change what you feed it. Here are 3 rules. Simple, but non-negotiable. Rule 1, audit everything. Write down what you consume in a day: social media, shows, podcasts, people. Ask one question: does this build me or drain me? If it drains you, cut it out. Ruthlessly. Rule 2, replace noise with knowledge. You don't have to stop consuming. You just have to upgrade your consumption. Trade gossip for growth. Trade entertainment for education. Trade noise for silence. Feed your mind with truth, not toxins. Rule 3, protect your mornings and nights. The first and last hour of your day set your mental tone. Don't feed your mind poison before bed and expect peace. Don't start your day with noise and expect focus. You have a choice. You can feed your mind chaos, or you can feed it clarity. One leads to anxiety. The other leads to control. The energy of what you consume. Input is neutral. Everything carries energy. Watch chaos, you feel chaos. Listen to anger, you feel anger. With negativity, you carry negativity. You think it's entertainment, but your subconscious thinks it's instruction. It's learning from every sound, every symbol, every sentence. That's why people who consume strength project strength. That's why people who consume fear radiate fear. You don't need to meditate for 10 hours to change your energy. You just need to change your input. That's the key. The discipline of filtering. Mental control isn't about being smarter. It's about being stricter. It's not about intelligence. It's about boundaries. Discipline is the filter. If it's not feeding your focus, it's feeding your weakness. If it's not adding value, it's subtracting clarity. Start filtering. Filter the content. Filter the conversations. Filter the company. Because every unfiltered input is a leak in your mental energy. You're not tired, you're overstimulated. You're not lazy, you're overloaded. Too much done, too little purpose. You have a choice. Be entertained or be enlightened. You can be both. Garbage and chaos out. Clarity and control out. We're programming through focus. Once you clean your inputs, the noise inside starts to quiet down. Your thoughts become sharper. Your confidence rises. You begin to think your thoughts, not the world's thoughts. That's when you realize you were never broken. You were just cluttered. Clarity was buried under consumption. Focus was buried under distraction. When you stop feeding your mind junk, discipline becomes natural. Ease becomes normal. Control becomes who you are. That's the real transformation. Not a motivational burst, a mental reset. Closing transition. You've learned to control your inputs. You've learned that your mind reflects what you feed it. And you've learned that every choice, every song, every scroll, every sentence either builds control or destroys it. You've cleaned your mental diet. Now it's time to clean your environment. Because the people and spaces around you, they're also food for your mind. You've mastered your inputs. Now let's master your surroundings. Chapter: Stillness is a superpower. Silence is weakness. Silence is self-command. Stillness is laziness. Stillness is power under control. In a world addicted to noise, distraction, and movement, silence is rebellion. And the rarest form of rebellion is focus. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. That's the key. A noise that owns you. You're surrounded by noise. Notifications. Opinions. Conversations that go nowhere. Noise isn't just sound, it's stimulation. Every buzz, every ping, every did you hear, steals a piece of your attention. Your mind becomes a battlefield. And you're losing not because you're weak, but because you've forgotten the weapon of stillness. You don't need more motivation. You need more silence. Because in silence, you can hear what matters. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. Most people can't sit still for seconds without reaching for something. Their phone, their playlist, their feed. They're not afraid of silence, they are afraid of themselves. Because silence forces you to confront the truth. It strips away distractions. It exposes the mental noise you've been avoiding. That's where growth happens. Not in the noise. In the quiet. The power of inner quiet. Stillness is not the absence of movement. It's the mastery of reaction. When you learn to pause before you respond, you own yourself. When you can sit in silence without panic, you've broken the world's control over you. The world trains you to react. Like now. Right now. Come in now. Stillness trains you to choose. You have a choice. React or respond. Panic or pause. That's control. That's discipline. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. Why the strong seek silence? Look at the world's top performers, soldiers, athletes, CEOs. They all have one thing in common: controlled solitude. They use silence to reset, to think, to plan. Because they know clarity lies in quiet. And Navy SEAL does rush into chaos. He prays. A surgeon does panic in the operating room. She focuses. A leader does react to noise. He waits. Silence is retreat. It's recalibration. Stillness isn't inactivity. It's intelligence. You don't need their permission to slow down. You don't need to justify your quiet. That's your advantage. The real reason people avoid stillness. Most people can't stand silence because it removes their excuses. In stillness, you can't hide behind busyness. You can't pretend you're making progress when you're just spinning. Silence exposes the truth. You are either disciplined or distracted. You are either in control or you're avoiding control. It's not about anxiety. It's about avoidance. It's not about boredom. It's about fear. Because in silence, you meet your mind. You hear every doubt, every insecurity, every unfinished promise. But here's the secret: when you face them, they lose power. What you confront, you control. What you avoid controls you. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. Real world example: the fighter in the flinch. Picture two fighters. One charges forward the moment he feels fear. He swings wild, desperate, sloppy. He's reacting, not thinking. The other braves. He stands still. He watches. He feels the same fear, but he doesn't move until he chooses to. Who wins? The still one. Always. Because control beats chaos. Awareness beats impulse. Stillness beats speed. That's the lesson. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. How to train stillness. Stillness is a muscle. You have to train it. Start small. 5 minutes a day. No phone. No sound. No stimulation. Just you and your breath. It will feel uncomfortable, that's how you know it's working. Your mind will resist. They will shout. They will demand distraction. Ignore it. Watch it. Don't feed it. You're not your thoughts. You're the observer. You're not your anxiety. You're the awareness behind it. Sit in silence until your thoughts lose their power. Until your emotions lose their grip. That's not meditation. That's domination. You're training your mind to obey. You're reprogramming it to pause, not panic. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. The science of silence. Silence restores the nervous system. It lowers cortisol. It clears the fog. It sharpens focus. But beyond science, silence sharpens character. Because in silence, you can't fake discipline. You can't scroll your way out of discomfort. You can only face it or flee it. And every time you face it, you grow. Every minute of stillness is a rep in your mental gym. Every moment of quiet is a repetition of control. Discipline isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, with precision. Stillness gives you that precision. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. The discipline of strategic withdrawal. Sometimes control means walking away, not out of weakness, but out of strength. You don't owe the world constant engagement. You owe yourself clarity. Silence is not isolation. It's strategy. You retreat to recharge, not to disappear. Every great general understands this. Every great mind practices it. You step back to see the whole field. You slow down to move faster. That's not laziness, that's mastery. You have a choice. Be consumed by noise, or command your stillness. Behavioral challenge, the how reset. Try this, 1 day each week. No unnecessary input. No music. No podcasts. No view. Just silence. Drive in silence. Walk in silence. Eat in silence. It will feel strange at first. But by the end of that day, you'll feel something rare: mental space. You'll think clear. You'll breathe deeper. You realize how addicted you were to distraction. And you'll start to feel it: real control. The kind that comes from inside, not outside. Because control isn't noise. Control is calm. When you slow down your mind, you speed up your control. Closing transition. You've learned to use stillness as strength. You've seen that silence isn't retreat, it's power. You've practiced pausing before reacting, choosing before moving. That's mastery. That's mental control. But control doesn't exist only inside your head. It extends into every relationship, every interaction, every boundary you set. You've mastered your inner stillness. Now it's time to master your external boundaries. Because control of self means nothing without control of space. Chapter: Pain is the path to power. And the word alone makes most people flinch. They run from it, hide from it, numb it. But here's the truth: pain is not the enemy. Pain is the proof you're still in control. You don't grow through ease. You grow through endurance. You don't get stronger by avoiding the struggle. You get stronger by mastering it. The mind grows stronger through controlled stress. Struggle builds structure. That's the key. The lie of comfort. We live in a world that worships comfort. Everything is built to protect you from effort, from thought, from challenge, from discomfort. A world of shortcuts and soft landings. But comfort kills growth. Every time you choose the easy way, you choose weakness. The body doesn't get stronger lying on the couch. The mind doesn't sharpen scrolling through distraction. The spirit does rise by avoiding the storm. You have a choice: pain or paralysis. Growth or comfort. Pain is not punishment. Pain is process. It's not there to hurt you. It's there to prepare you. Pain is the proof you're still in control. The signs of pain and power. When you lift weights, your muscles tear. That tearing hurts. But it's necessary. Because in that stress, your body sends a signal: rebuild stronger. The same law governs your mind. Mental strength is built the same way: through controlled pressure, through challenge, through deliberate discomfort. Every rejection, every failure, every setback, it's a rep. It's a rep in your mental gym. If you stop lifting because it hurts, you stay weak. If you quit when life gets heavy, you stay fragile. Pain is feedback, not failure. It's your mind saying, this matters. You have to stop seeing pain as the end. Start seeing it as the invitation. Reframing pain. When something hurts, physical or emotional, your mind reacts first with resistance. It screams, make it stop. That's instinct. But instinct is not intelligence. Your mind's first reaction is survival. Your second reaction, the one you choose, is mastery. You can reframe pain. You can turn it from an obstacle into an opportunity. Instead of saying, why me, say, what for? Instead of asking, when will this end? Ask, what will this teach me? That's how warriors think. That's how leaders think. You have a choice. You can collapse, or you can convert. Convert your pain into purpose. Pain is the proof you're still in control. The mental conditioning principle. Think about elite performers, athletes, special forces, entrepreneurs. They all have one thing in common: controlled suffering. They train under pressure, not to enjoy it, but to master it. They know that pressure reveals weakness, and in revealing it, it removes it. That's the power of controlled stress. You expose yourself to discomfort before life forces it on you. You build tolerance before you need it. When everyone else avoids the hard thing, you run toward it. When everyone else complains, you breathe in and execute. That's how you train your mind for control. You don't wait for easy days. You prepare for hard ones. Every time you do something uncomfortable, wake up early, work through fatigue, say no when it's inconvenient, you're teaching your mind who's in charge. You're proving that comfort doesn't control you. You control you. Pain is the proof you're still in control. How to practice pain without breaking. Pain without direction destroys. Pain with discipline builds. You must practice controlled discomfort. Start with small challenges. Take cold showers. Wake up an hour earlier. Sit with hunger. Delay gratification. Say no to the easy yes. These aren't random acts of suffering. They're signals to your brain: I choose discomfort. When you choose pain on your own terms, you strip it of power. When pain becomes your practice, it stops being your prison. That's the key. The goal isn't to love pain. It's to stop fearing it. Pain will visit everyone. But only the disciplined will invite it, learn from it, and use it. You don't need their permission to push harder. You don't need validation to choose challenge. That's control. The emotional side of pain. Let's talk about emotional pain, the kind that doesn't show, but cuts the deepest. Rejection. Betrayal. Loss. This kind of pain tests your inner control. Because you can't escape it, and you can't outwork it. You can only face it. And in facing it, you build something even stronger than confidence, resilience. Resilience is built in silence. When nobody's watching. When it hurts and you keep going anyway. You don't need to pretend it doesn't hurt. You just need to make sure it doesn't stop you. Cry if you must. But don't quit. Heal the pain, then move through it. Pain does define you. Your response does. Pain is the proof you're still in control. Real-world example, rejection or refinement. Every successful person has a rejection story. A moment that could have broken them, but didn't. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school team. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. They did run from that pain. They refined it. Because pain does stop purpose, it shades it. The weak let pain close the door. The strong use pain to break it open. You have a choice. Break down or break through. Pain is the proof you're still in control. Behavioral challenge. The hard thing routine. Here's a habit that builds control. Every day, do one thing that makes you uncomfortable on purpose. Something small but deliberate. That conversation you've been avoiding. That workout you don't want to start. That project you've been procrastinating. Do it daily. Not to prove anything to the world, but to prove it to yourself. This trains your brain to stop running from pain and start respecting it. Because the more you face discomfort, the less power it has over you. Pain only controls those who fear it. You are not one of them. Pain is the proof you're still in control. Closing transition. You've learned that pain isn't your enemy, it's your ally. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every struggle, every stress, every setback is strengthening your system. Now you understand the truth. The goal isn't to avoid pain. The goal is to master it. Because mastery comes through struggle, and struggle gives birth to power. You face pain. You've learned from it. You've grown stronger because of it. Now it's time to go one step deeper. Because control isn't just built in battle, it's maintained in calm. You've mastered pain. Now let's master precision. Chapter: The Master Mindset. Command every moment. Control isn't something you get once. It's something you earn every day. It's not a trophy. It's a habit. It's not a single act of willpower. It's a pattern of decisions. That's the key. Control is a choice, a daily, deliberate choice. You command your thoughts, or your thoughts command you. You dictate your day, or your day dictates you. Command your thoughts. Command your day. Command your life. That's the anchor. That's the rhythm of mastery. The illusion of one big moment. Most people wait for the big moment. The turning point. The day they'll finally feel ready. But the truth is, mastery doesn't arrive in a single moment. It's built in thousands of unseen ones. It's not one workout. It's every rep. Not one decision. Every decision. Not one morning of clarity. Every morning of consistency. You don't become a master because you conquered chaos once. You become a master because you refuse to let chaos win every single day. You have a choice. Every hour, every task, every thought a choice to command or to collapse. Control is not found. It's forged. And it's forged through repetition. That's the key. Mastery through repetition. The elite understand this. Athletes, warriors, leaders. They repeat the fundamentals until they disappear into instinct. Repetition is not boring. It's sacred. It's how chaos becomes clarity. It's how thought becomes control. When you repeat control, it becomes reflex. When you repeat focus, it becomes automatic. The average person says, I already know that. The master says, I'll keep doing that. Because knowledge is worthless without repetition. Awareness is meaningless without execution. Every day you wake up, you have to recommit. Recommit to order. Recommit to focus. Recommit to discipline. Mastery is built in repetition. Repetition of command. Command your thoughts. Command your day. Command your life. Morning the battlefield of the mind. Your morning is your first test. Before the world intrudes. Before distractions start sparking. That first hour decides who's in charge, you or the noise. Elite use their mornings as control drills. They start the day with silence. With focus. With intention. They don't roll over and scroll. They rise and set the tone. Because the first voice you listen to sets the direction for the rest of the day. If the first voice is chaos, notifications, drama, gossip, you've already lost command. But if the first voice is clarity, your own deliberate voice, you've already won. You don't need the world's permission to be centered. You give it to yourself every morning. You have a choice. And that choice starts before the sun comes up. That's the key. Reframing chaos. Chaos will never disappear. It's part of the game. What changes is how you interpret it. The untrained mind sees chaos and panics. The disciplined mind sees chaos and plans. Sim storm. Different pilot. You can't control what hits you. But you can always control how you hold the wheel. That's what masters do. They reframe chaos into clarity. They don't ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what's this training me for? Reframing is a skill. A mental reflex. When your mind starts spiraling, pause and ask one question. What can I command right now? You'll always find something. Your breath. Your words. Your next step. That's control. That's command. Command your thoughts. Command your day. Command your life. Behavioral mastery. Building command rituals. If you want to command your mind, you need rituals, not routines. Routines are habits you drift into. Rituals are habits you choose. Rituals have intention. They remind your brain who's in charge. Start simple. Your morning ritual. Your work ritual. Your recovery ritual. Each one should signal control. Not control of time, control of attention. When you drink your coffee, don't scroll. Be present. When you start work, block distractions. Command the task. When you rest, rest fully. Don't half scroll, half sleep. Command your energy. Every action becomes a statement, and in charge here. Because every moment is a vote. You're voting for who you want to be, the one who reacts, or the one who commands. The more you choose command, the more control becomes your nature. That's the key. The discipline of redeciding. Even masters drift. Even the best lose focus. The difference is they catch it faster. Mastery isn't about perfection. It's about the speed of recovery. The average person stays lost for days, weeks, months. The master corrects within minutes. You can do the same. All it takes is awareness, and the decision to redecide. We decide to be present. We decide to focus. We decide to lead your mind. Every time you catch yourself drifting, don't judge it, command it. Say to yourself and back. That single phrase pulls your mind out of reaction and back into command. That's mastery in real time. Command is not about never losing control. It's about never staying lost. Command your thoughts. Command your day. Command your life. Command is control. There's a difference between control and command. Control tries to grip tighter. Command stays composed. Control is fear-based. Command is power-based. The master mindset isn't about suppressing emotion, it's about directing it. You can feel frustration, but still act with clarity. You can feel doubt, but still move with purpose. That's command. The moment you can hold emotion without letting it dictate your behavior, you've reached mastery. It's not about being unshakable. It's about being unbroken. You have a choice. Every single moment. Let or command. Collapse or compose. That's the difference between the mind that survives and the mind that leads. The infinite loop of mastery. Mastery never ends. It's not a summit. It's a circle. You repeat, refine, and rise. Every day you start again. Command the morning. Command the chaos. Command the self. There's no finish line because growth does stop. Discipline does retire. Control does expire. That's what makes mastery powerful. It's infinite. It does depend on motivation. It depends on choice. And choice never runs out. You have that power every day to start again, stronger, sharper, steadier. That's the master mindset. That's the command state. Command your thoughts. Command your day. Command your life. Closing transition. You've walked the full path from chaos to clarity, from reaction to command. You've learned that control is not a fantasy. It's a practice. It's not about perfection. It's about precision. Every moment offers you the same decision. Give in to the noise, or rise above it. You have that choice always. And when you choose command, you choose power. Remember, mastery isn't something you get once. It's something you become again and again. This is the end of the chapter. But not the end of control. Because control doesn't end when the words stop. It begins every time you wake up and take command of your mind. You've mastered the moment. Now master your mission. This is your life, and you are the one in command. You've just learned the one truth that separates the strong from the scattered. Control is an inside job. No one will do it for you. Not motivation, not luck, not talent. Your thoughts shape your actions shape your identity, and your identity shapes your life. Every time you choose focus over distraction, patience over impulse, and discipline over comfort, you take your power back. The war is not out there, it's in your head. And starting now, you are no longer the victim of your mind, you are the commander of it. Control your mind, or it will control you. Choose control. Every day, every moment, starting right now.